on as we go on.
Okay.
God, speak about work.
Um, as you know, Paul wrote the Corinthians, and in speaking to the people at Corinth, he was kind of encouraging them not only not only to work, but work to show in their work the life of Christ, so that then they can help others to understand work and spirituality.
Thank you. Sorry, have anything?
Yeah, I don't have any additions at this time.
Okay.
Really.
All right. It said work is God's idea. In the world before sin, God gave Adam and Eve the task of caring for the garden. So you look at Genesis chapter 2 and verse 15, you see that clearly there were stories for God. And like the Creator, in whose image they were made, they were to be employed to create in the creative labor and loving service. This is even in an unfallen world, a world without sin and death, suffering, humanity was to be at work. I find that very interesting that, you know, work was designed even before the fall of man. And you hear a lot of people saying that they don't know who met work. And they don't know who met work. But when we look at the light in light of the Bible, work is a blessing. And the writer puts it beautiful to me. The writer says the idea of God. It is the plan of God that we work, that we work. And it said it happened even before the fall. And the question was asked, which one was cursed? Work or the ground? And you know the answer was the ground that was cursed, not work. Work is a blessing.
But the
So,
teacher,
hmm?
if we, they said work started in the Garden of Eden. But if we go back to Genesis,
Hmm.
the very first chapter,
Yes, please.
the very first verse, it says, in the beginning, God created. Is creation work?
Yes.
Okay, so if creation is work, then we see that God was first in doing his work because he worked 6 days.
Hmm.
Some things he spake and it was done. But then if we look at Genesis 1:15, 16, it says, and God made. So when you make something, you use your hands.
That's right.
Well, everyone isn't fortunate enough to have hands. Some people are without hands, but they use their feet. If you look at certain documentaries, you will see where people use their feet or just their heads to do something. So we see that work is not, I go back, a curse, but a blessing.
Yes, yes.
And I guess it all depends then who's speaking if you say work is a curse or a blessing.
Yes, please. It says, in this in between time, after the ideal world and the part to the promised one, we are invited to view work as one of God's blessings. Among the Jews, every child was taught a trade. In fact, it was said that a father who did not teach his son a trade will raise a criminal. Meanwhile, Jesus, the Son of God, spent many years doing his father's will in honest labor as a skilled craftsman, perhaps providing people of Nazareth with needed furniture, agriculture implements. This too was all part of the training prepared for him for the ministry ahead. And the Apostle Paul was doing the Lord's work just as surely when he worked among Aquila and Priscilla for a year and a half as a tent maker, and he was a Sabbath and was on Sabbath debating in a synagogue. And we know that, as I mentioned up front, when I first looked at the text, it had me a little because I was looking at the spiritual side of it. But I'm saying that even when we do our work, we have to do it in mind that we are doing things unto the Lord. So even in our daily work, even in our homes, whatever you're doing, remember that you're doing it unto the Lord. And even although people are not looking, God is looking to see your intentions of the heart. That's why I'm getting coming up here. That the works is important, and God will every motive. So why Priscilla and Aquila and the Apostle Paul did tent making, they did it as unto the Lord. Any questions so far? We have? Any questions so far? Yes, please. Bible said, whatever you do unto the Lord. Whatever you do it unto the Lord. And we must keep that foremost in mind. That sometimes, I say, we think that the person is not looking at us, so we do what we feel like. But the Lord have everything recording, our motives and everything. So we have to do everything unto the Lord, right? Brother Sobers, can you um, lead out in Sunday, please?
Sunday. Okay. All right. So Sunday is entitled "The Many Sides of Work."
Yes, please.
Okay. So here's a verse from Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 12 and 13. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. Want me to continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. Work. That's a solid Anglo Saxon word with no frills. One syllable in English, yet it has many possible meanings. Out of necessity, we work to put food on our tables, pay the bills, and save little for hard times. Losing a job is often worse than putting up with a poor work situation. Work can give a person a sense of worth. Work is a common way to answer the question, what do you do? Or even, what are you? Most retirees continue to work part time as long as they are able, whether for pay or as a volunteer. A job offers a reason for getting up in the morning. Give a teenager a job, and there is one fewer candidate for delinquency.
Question, Brother Robert.
Yes, please.
If someone said to you, oh, one of your friends said, oh, I don't have to work. Why should I work when people can give me something?
Um, Basically, I think that that's outright laziness
Yes.
on their part. I wouldn't say that they're fully to blame as well. They have to be given certain duties and so on within the home from the time they're young.
What
That's right.
what what is if it's a someone from church who you figure should know better?
Ah, very good question. I would say that they need them to fully understand the concept of work and industry, basically, from the Bible's point of view.
So how are you going to get that over to them?
Obviously, by telling them to dive in. You could point out to them the various parts and so on, and hopefully, the Holy Spirit will guide them into all truth as it relates to working.
I just want to ask a question.
Yes, please.
Um, when I was growing up, I think we all knew that after school you had to go to work, and I think we all went to work. But nowadays it seems like there are youngsters who don't know that. Uh, So my question is, I know that there's a text that say that our father should at least teach his son a trade, you know. But the question is, do you have to teach people to work? Do you have to tell a child he has to work, or is it something natural that springs up in him that tells him that he has to work?
Um, Brother Graham, for me, children learn by example, and they also learn through instruction. So, for a child to naturally work, some will, some won't.
Mm.
I remember we even had a dog that if Juliet and Florina collecting stones to put anywhere, the dog used to help. Some humans don't like to do anything.
No, my point I'm making is that there seemed to have been a change that occurred sometime, in my lifetime and in your lifetime, and that is that I think there's some youngsters who genuinely don't know that they have to work.
That's true. Um, basically, we like to do it easy. I don't know where that was birthed out of from, but robbing, looting, that kind of stuff is what we more so gravitate towards, other than working hard, going out there in the sun or wherever we have to go and, earn an honest pay. So I'm not too sure where that would have come from, but obviously, it's not of God. Right. The devil finds work for idle hands.
And they
Brother,
also say that an idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Correct.
Brother Johnson.
Yeah. I hear Brother Jeffrey ask the question pertaining to doing something as unto the Lord.
Yes, please.
Do we understand what unto the Lord means? Because some people tell me that once I eat pork and I bless it, it is good because it's unto the Lord. So it's not only for pork, but I think about for work and for any other thing. If I do my own thing and does not have the guidance of God, is it unto the Lord?
Well, not in that context. Not in that context for sure, because that is going outside the will of God. But the things that God has tell us not to do. So if you're doing things that tell not to do, they cannot be the will of God, outside the will of God. On the Sunday, I find it interesting again. It said work give a person a sense of worth. That is true also. So I'm looking at I'm looking at it in terms of the mind of God. When God, even before God created creatures, God foresaw all of this. I know that with work, it gives man a sense of worth, make him feel that, we look at most people that I know that lives on the block and so on. And sometimes you talk to them, it seems very intelligent in conversation. But then why will you keep just lying on the block, begging for a dollar or, just to probably buy, um, drugs or whatever the case may be, where you can work and achieve something by the grace of God. So when you don't work, say either hand, the devil find work for that person, and we seeing it over and over. Up to last night, you heard on the news, the person just parked, and the guy came up with a gun, asked for the wallet, asked for the bangle, just walk off. It never happened. The time the rich you're living in, and because you just don't want to work, so whatever is yours belongs to me, and I can get it by force. So this lesson teaches me a lot about work as a blessing, and whatever we do, as I say, we do it unto the Lord. Any questions so far? Or any points you want to make? We don't have a lot of time today, so
We have about 3 minutes left.
we don't have the time today to elaborate.
Um, we usually quote the scripture, train up the child the way he shall go.
Yes, please.
When he's old, he will not depart from the way he shall go, or
That's
from
right.
the training.
That's right.
So I was surprised to hear that some people, after sin, naturally want to work. If it's natural, you don't got to train anybody. But we know that because of sin, they naturally don't want to work. And they don't want to do what the Lord wants them to do. So they got to be trained. Now, you had started by saying you thought this work would have been spiritual.
Yes, please.
But so far, you've been dealing with the physical and saying as unto the Lord. So can you move to the spiritual quickly before we finish?
Well, when you say spiritual, you're dealing with like church work here. All this work too. This is spiritual. As you have leaders who lead out in different areas and capacity. So there's church work, there's work too. There's a spiritual something. But whatever we learn from our leaders, when we go on our jobs, wherever we are to put these things into practice so people can see that you are not, I don't like to want to get this part, but there are people who complain that they're Christians that very dishonest in transaction. This is a bad thing for the church. And if they have to call the name of the church and so on. So I'm saying that you have to put what you are learning here into practice, to be honest with a person. Just say, well, look, the job can cost $3, just stick to $3. I have seen it already, dealing with people already. You know, so they got to even say sometimes, just go ahead. Just for peace sake, just go ahead. Let's take it easy. You understand? So I'm saying that the spiritual and the physical has to blend together. And when we look, all right, Brother Lormer, we don't have a lot of time, but I'm allowed to speak. When we look at Wednesday, they say that this work is inseparable. So you can't get away from it. It's inseparable. Yes, Brother Lormer.
Yeah, I just want to make the point that I agree with Sister Pat.
Yes, please.
In terms of the physical nature of work, people learn to do that by example. They're taught, they should be taught by their parents to do that and to do it honestly, as you pointed out. But I wanted to, I suppose I'll do that later on at the 2:30. But work for Adam and Eve, work was supposed to draw them back to God. So often we hear this that word is a curse.
Yeah.
It's not a curse.
Not a curse.
And when you read what the Bible says about what was cursed, the ground was cursed.
Ground, yeah. Yes, please.
Not work. Because depending on the inspiration point, so that by indulging in the task that God would have given them after sin, it was supposed to draw them back to Him.
That's right.
But it also points so that we have taken the whole idea of work and in some instances idolize it. So we work too much.
That's right.
We get so tired we ain't got time for God. We find that we go. Yes, okay, that's on one side. So those are just 2 points I wanted to make about that.
Yeah, thank you very much. And we see also, as I mentioned, that it's not inseparable. We see the writer is bringing out that Christianity is not a garment that you can put on and put off. It's not so you can put on and put off. So wherever you go, there are times you don't have to tell people you're a Christian. People can see by the way you conduct yourself that you are a child of God. Right? When I was working at the bank, then I had to go to the credit union for about 7 months. And you meet a lot of people at the credit union more than the bank I work in at. And people came in there, and then we had all these long lines. And the other guy with me would just stand there and watch the people. I would tell him, look, I think you want the position, so you hold on for that part. You see these people up there? I can deal with these people. I started bringing the old people. I think people can't stand in this sun here. You got for who's diabetics. And people ask me, you're a Christian? How you deal with me? You're a Christian? I said, why you ask that? He said, because how you deal with me. And you constantly keep doing it. Because the Bible said when Christ looked at them, he had compassion on the people. So wherever you go, this thing can't be separated from you. It is a part of you. And people will see it. Sometimes you're eating, maybe at your fat, wherever, or you stand and pray. Yeah, well, that's strange. Pray? Well, that's a strange thing. People just start eating. But because you're accustomed doing it, you're not doing it for sure, but you're accustomed asking God, blessing upon something. So people see it. So if we go away with anything today, please, because we have no more time, let's go away understanding that whatever we do, let us do it unto the Lord and be honest. May the Lord bless us as we look forward this evening for 2:30 to continue this study. Very sorry that it's so short, but we respect the time and everything. God bless you.
Be the best.